welcome to our meeting for tonight. First of all, we would like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Robinson Superior Treaty Territory and that the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe. Can I have approval of agenda for the open session? Everybody's good with it? Any disclosures of interest? Hearing none, we'll get right into the meeting. We have a delegation tonight.
We have a public sector digest with Aaron Orr ready to present our asset management plan. Please proceed, Aaron.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm very excited to be here to present the Township's asset management plan. My name is Aaron Orr, and I'm an asset management specialist at PSD Citywide, previously known as Public Sector Digest. And I worked with your staff to develop a 114-page document that summarizes the state of the township's infrastructure, the current level of service, and your asset management strategies. So what I will be presenting today is really just a snapshot of a rather detailed document. And before I begin, I do want to thank your staff for their significant support in the development of this plan. Without their efforts, this wouldn't have been possible. So to understand the plan, we need to have a good understanding of asset management. Briefly, asset management is about the services that you provide through your infrastructure. And these services really bring your township to life. For example, your roads and pathways and sidewalks provide that integral transportation service. And your underground mains, manholes, and treatment plants all contribute to the provision of water and wastewater services. The asset management plan that we have developed is actually required under OREG 588/17. This is the asset management planning for municipal infrastructure regulation. And there are multiple deadlines within this regulation. The first came on July 1st of 2019. And this was for the strategic asset management policy that was to be adopted. And the next deadline is this year. It's on July 1st of 2022. And every municipality in Ontario has to adopt an asset management plan for their core infrastructure. So core infrastructure includes your roads, bridges, sanitary, storm, and waste and water networks. And these plans must include the current levels of service, your asset inventory analysis, the current performance of your assets, life cycle activities and costs, and the impacts of growth. We did include in this plan some inventory and financial information for your non-core assets as well. So non-core includes buildings and facilities, machinery and equipment, vehicles, land improvement assets, computers, and assets like that. The next deadline after this one is on July 1st of 2024. That one is an asset management plan like the one we have today, but it must include full detail for both core and non-core asset categories. And the final deadline under this regulation is on July 1st of 2025. This is an asset management plan that focuses in on your proposed levels of service. Proposed levels of service can be understood as your desired level of service. This will be a far more detailed plan, but that's not to come. We still have a few more years before that's required. So we can talk about that at the end of this presentation a little bit more. So the asset management plan that we have today is based on data and information from 2020 year end. The plan describes the current state of infrastructure and asset management practices. It also includes what changes can be made to improve the state of your infrastructure and asset management practices. And it includes what is the township's financial capacity to meet long-term capital requirements. So let's begin with the replacement cost. In this asset management plan for your core inventory, we have included your road network, sanitary, water, and storm network. For your non-core, we've included buildings and facilities, land improvements, vehicles, machinery and equipment, and your furniture, library collections, and computer hardware in that final category. So the replacement cost is otherwise understood as the sum cost of replacing all of the assets that you own. And for the township, that total cost is $65.3 million. The cost per capita is $63,000, and the cost per household is around $106,000. So it's important to note first here that only 17% of the inventory has replacement costs that are based on user-defined pricing. So only 17% of your assets have accurate and up-to-date pricing. The other 83% is based on historical costs that has been inflated using consumer price index tables. So the costs may not be entirely accurate, and they are certainly subject to change as the price of goods and materials changes. So you can understand this a little bit better as just a snapshot in time of the replacement cost for your assets. So the next slide that we have here is the state of your infrastructure or the condition. Now this graph shows that over 70% of your inventory is in poor and very poor condition. And we found that over 40% of the inventory likely needs to be replaced in the next 10 years or so. However, very, very important to emphasize here that the condition ratings are not likely reflecting the true condition of your assets. If you take a look at the table below, the majority of your inventory has a condition that is entirely based on age. And what that means is that we don't know the true working condition of these assets. We simply have an assumption of the condition based on the current age and the expected useful life. So in the next phase of this project, my team will be working with your staff to refine this information and gather more accurate measures of the condition and expected useful lives. So what this graph really does show is that you have an aging inventory. This is seen all across Ontario, certainly in smaller towns and in Northern Ontario. A lot of your assets are older and likely in need of repair and replacement. So the information in this asset management plan and in your asset management software can really support staff in their efforts to assess risk and prioritize capital projects. So let's take a look at your capital requirements. The annual capital requirement is the amount of money you would need to invest annually to replace the failed assets on time. So here we have a lot of information in one tiny graph. To the right, you'll see all of the asset categories are color-coded, and in each bar there is representation of each asset category, and the bars are in 5-year buckets. So the average annual requirement for your entire portfolio is $1.9 million, and the 5-year requirement sums up to around $9.6 million. So based on just the age of your assets, there are capital requirement peaks, as you can see, around the years of 2030, 2040, and 2065. So again, a reminder that these annual requirements are not at all set in stone. They may change with a number of factors, and they will almost definitely change with the refinement of accurate replacement costs and more accurate condition assessments. With more accurate condition assessments, what you would see is a lot of these early on replacements being pushed out. Because if some of your assets are shown to be in very poor condition, but the staff who are using them and are seeing them and assessing them know that they are in fact in usable condition, that would push out quite a few of these costs that are coming in the next 10 or 15 years. So now, based on the information provided, we do have a summary of the township's infrastructure spending and deficit. So here we have the tax-funded assets and rate-funded assets separately, since they're funded from different sources. The tax-funded assets includes roads, storm, buildings, vehicles, machinery and equipment, land improvements, and your furniture, library collections, and computers. So the annual capital requirements for tax funded are $1.3 million. The funding available is $178,000, leaving with an annual capital deficit of $1.1 million. the rate-funded assets, we have an annual capital requirement of $624,000, funding available of $225,000, leaving an annual capital deficit of $399,000 for rate-funded assets. So based on a historical analysis of available capital funding from sustainable sources, the township is facing an annual capital deficit of around $2.85 million. And a key word in that phrase is sustainable sources. According to the regulation, we have to only use sustainable sources in order to create this financial strategy. So sustainable sources in this case, they include the tax levy and the rate levies, and then they only include two other transfers. So that is the Canada Community Building Fund, previously known as the Gas Tax Fund, and the Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund. So what that means is that we do not have any one-time grants included in this budget. So with this information, we've provided a recommended financial strategy. This financial strategy suggests a 20-year plan for the full funding of your assets in order to close that deficit and that funding gap. So for tax-funded assets, we have a recommended 2.5% annual increase. For water, a 1.5% annual increase of rates, and a 3.1% annual increase of rates for your wastewater or sanitary. So both sustainable and one-time grants or transfers will continue to be an essential source of revenue for investment in capital infrastructure. Of course, those one-time grants that your staff are successful in getting for your capital projects are incredibly important. They're just unfortunately not reflected in this financial strategy. And now adjustments to your taxes and rates, they should be supplemented with project prioritization and the evaluation of your desired level of service. So before we move on to the final recommendations, I do want to bring us back to this concept of the level of service. The level of service is the main focus of this plan, and it really is the main focus of the entire regulation which guides the development of this plan. So because the township's level of service defines the annual requirements, it also defines your financial strategy for the future. The level of service is best understood as a balance between these three factors. So a balance between the cost to provide that service, the desired level of performance, and the risk you are willing to tolerate to provide the service at that level. So it'll be up to you to define and continuously refine your desired level of service beginning in 2025, which will then hopefully result in a far more accurate and achievable annual capital requirement. That leads us to our final slide. These are the recommendations that are seen in the asset management plan. It's important to remember that an asset management plan is a living document that requires consistent revisions and updates. So the Ontario regulation will also require a revision and update of the data every 2 years going forward. So the first key recommendation is to gather and enhance non-core asset inventory data. We'll be working with your team to do that in the near future to build a 2024 compliant asset management plan. The next recommendation is to gather assessed condition for your core asset categories. That's what we discussed before, to have a better reflection of the true state of your portfolio's condition. We would want to gather some visual or even engineered assessed conditions of some of your assets. The third recommendation is to evaluate and update life cycle strategies and replacement costs. In this, we would advise evaluating capacity to deliver optimal life cycle strategies, reviewing your life cycle strategies to include comprehensive project costs. That means including operations and maintenance as well as rehabilitation costs, and then reviewing and continually updating your replacement costs. And the final recommendation is the evaluation of the levels of service. So you need to continue to collect the current level of service for core asset categories, as well as begin to collect the current level of service for non-core. And by 2025, you'll have to have your proposed level of service. So that is all I have for today. I want to thank you for your time and give you the opportunity to ask any questions to myself or your staff.
Any questions? Does everyone understand where we're at with this process? It's yeah. We're working on the next deadline for it, so hopefully we'll have that in by December, if not prior, but yeah. Well, thank you very much, Erin. Thank you for your time. We appreciate you presenting today.
Thank you for your time and have a nice rest of your evening.
Thanks, Ernest.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Oh, I could get it.
Okay, we'll move into minutes of the previous meetings. Resolution 63-22, moved by Councillor Stefuric, seconded by Councillor Morrow, that the minutes of the special council meeting held March 4th, 2022 be accepted as circulated. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Carried. Resolution 64-22, moved by Councillor McGrath, seconded by Councillor Stefuric, that the minutes of the council and committee of the whole meeting held March 8th, 2022 be accepted as circulated. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Carried. Committee of the whole recommendations. Resolution 65-22. Moved by Councillor Stefuric, seconded by Councillor Sales, that council accept the 2021 Section 11 annual report for the Schreiber drinking water system as prepared by the Ontario Clean Water Agency on behalf of the Township of Schreiber. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Carried. Resolution 66-22. Moved by Councillor Morrow, seconded by Councillor McGrath. The council accept the 2021 Schedule 22 annual summary report for the Schreiber drinking water system as prepared by the Ontario Clean Water Agency on behalf of the Township of Schreiber. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Carried. Resolution 67-22, moved by Councillor Sales, seconded by Councillor Morrow. The council accept the 2021 annual record of water taking submission confirmation. Carried. All those in favor? Carried. Resolution 68-22, moved by Councillor Stefuric, seconded by Councillor McGrath. The council approved the purchase of a Ukrainian flag from the flag store in the amount of $29.95, excluding applicable taxes and shipping. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Carried. Resolution 69-22, moved by Councillor Morrow, seconded by Councillor Stefuric, that bylaw 15-2022, being a bylaw to authorize the borrowing of funds to finance municipal complex capital borrowing, be given first, second, third, and final reading and enacted.
Just in terms of context here, you had asked this earlier, we had to bring it back again. The numbers had to be corrected from what was provided from the bank, so we're rescinding the two prior bylaws.
All those in favor? Carried. Resolution 69-22, moved by Councillor.
70.
Is it 70? Sorry. Resolution 70-22, moved by Councillor Sales, seconded by Councillor McGrath. That bylaw 16-2022, being a bylaw to authorize the borrowing of funds to finance public works garage capital borrowing, be given first, second, third, and final reading and enacted. Discussion? No. Hearing none. All those in favor? Carried. Resolution 71-22, moved by Councillor Stefuric, seconded by Councillor Morrow. That bylaw 17-2022, being a bylaw to authorize the sale of lands 804 Winnipeg Street, Plan 388, Section 10, Lot 1 to 3, to 50 Below Liquidations Incorporated, be given first, second, third, and final reading and enacted.
Again, context for this, we did proceed with the transaction here. We just need the bylaw as per our disposition of land policy. So making sure we follow that policy to get this passed.
All those in favor? Carried. Accounts for payment, none? Or no? And we move into the committee of the whole part of the meeting, department reports and committee board minutes. First up, Director of Operations report.
So Tommy, could you go over what we had discussed earlier about timeline for purchase of the loader?
The loader? The two quotes that are very comparable, one is from John Deere and the other is from Strongco for the Volvo. The Volvo is available to be delivered end of November. The John Deere is available end of April. So it's up to you on which risk you want to accept. I mean, we can continue running the case and hope that we have no breakdowns until the new loader arrives. The Volvo loader is $15,000 cheaper than what the John Deere is.
Is it 15,000 or 1,500?
1,500, sorry,
Okay.
my apologies. So the Volvo is cheaper. So it's really one or the other. It's whatever you feel comfortable with.
So it's all about risk then,
Yeah.
whether that machine's gonna break down between April and November and cost us a pile of money.
Yeah.
That's a long time too.
Yeah, April, what's that, 6 months or 8 months? 6 months, 7 months?
Strongco has been a good provider for us. That's definitely something to consider. They've given us some good service. Having, a consistent line of machinery provides, more consistency with parts and such. John Deere provides a good product as well. I've done some research. I've had experience with John Deere. They hold up. My experience with John Deere has been positive. When you look at the ratings on websites and how they rank loaders, Volvo comes out ahead. So it's really a tough decision. They both have their pros and cons.
How much does the loader get used from April to November?
A lot. It's my understanding. I haven't been here during the summer months, but I've been told that during the winter time, I've definitely witnessed that is the first machine out of the garage every single day.
Yeah, I know, I mean, like,
the
in the
winter.
summer though, like.
They tell me it goes down to about 70% of that. So it's still used about 70% of the time. So there's still a high use demand for it.
Sounds like it, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's all about the risk
Yeah.
of not upgrading for 7 months.
The case, I did get some very rough estimates on repairing that one. You're looking at $125,000 that you could be looking at to repair. So it depends on what goes down with it and what kind of price you might be looking at for the repairs. Hydraulic pumps are making some terrible grinding noises.
What are
so
they worth? Or something like that?
15,000 to replace.
15,000 for
Yeah.
a pump.
Yeah. Sorry.
I like the idea of dealing with Strongco.
Yeah, me too.
Why is that?
Just because we've dealt with them in the past and they've been good to us. They come here, fix things.
And what's the other one?
John Deere.
And what's their track record like?
But to my knowledge, I've never seen a John Deere loader. I see more Strongco than anything.
You mean Volvo or?
Yeah, Strongco, Volvo.
I mean, that's what we originally said. We knew it wasn't gonna be here overnight. We knew it was gonna take a while.
Yeah, just that
Because
we
the
didn't-
prices are closer, we're gonna change our
Well, I
mind, I don't know.
mean, we have to look at it.
Yeah, no, I agree, you have to look at it, but my vote is still for the
Yeah,
original one.
it all comes down to the risk we're willing to accept, so we're willing
Something
to.
else that you can consider, you can lower the cost of your Volvo by 13,500 if you just take their standard 1-year warranty. You would have a window in 6 months' time to buy the extended warranty if you see that. I mean, you never know if you end up with a lemon in any piece of equipment that you buy, right?
Mhm.
I mean, we could have no issues.
Yeah,
But if we wait to buy the extended warranty, chances are it's going to be more expensive than the 13,000.
you don't have that option with the John Deere?
John Deere's a
John
1-year
Deere,
warranty,
there's
right?
no standard warranty on the John Deere's 3 years,
What was it?
5,000
Where did we get
hours.
the 1-year at?
So you have a better warranty with the John Deere than overall? And it's not gonna cost you an extra 13,000?
No.
Well, that would be my vote.
I think we'll get to the vote for, once we get to the report, I guess, in section 3.
Oh, okay,
but,
sorry, we had jumping ahead here, okay.
But clearly, this was the main
Yeah.
discussion.
Yeah.
The hot topic.
For the report. Was there then anything else that you want to discuss for the Director of Operations report?
Just a small correction for the CLI ECA application. What they've done is, I paid the $100 application fee, but they've separated the stormwater application from the sewage collection. So it ended up to be $200 fee, $100 for each application.
Okay, I had one other, do you have an update on this, on Ontario streamlining for environmental permissions?
Yeah, actually I spoke with Patrick Albert, and he was quite excited about the announcement. He hadn't heard until I brought it to his attention. There is possibilities that it might help with our, when they have to open up the ECA for the changing the bagging system, or anything like that. So because we're low risk, we may not have to open up the entire ECA. Because when you open up the entire ECA, a lot of times new rules and regulations will now apply. So if we can stay under that radar, it would be to our benefit.
Okay.
Okay, I was gonna ask that too. Okay, hearing nothing else on that, we'll move on to number 2, and that's the Schreiber Water and Wastewater Treatment Systems Report, February 2022.
So the only thing I seen was a call out that was missed, but I read somewhere else that the wrong call out list was used.
Yes.
Why would they have a wrong call out list?
Apparently, this is a problem that they commonly have with T-Baytel. It was them that had the wrong list in hand. They quickly resolved it and was back on track in pretty short order. But it was definitely something that highlighted for me as well, and I have been investigating that a little deeper.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, number 3, Director of Operations Report.
Here you go. Here's a recommendation that Council of the Township of Schreiber rescind Resolution 54-22 and accept the quote from Strongco in the amount of $283,950 plus applicable taxes.
I would, I think I would, would not get the extended warranty at this point in time. I'm talking on the Strongco. And, which would drop the price roughly down to 270,000, I believe. Roughly, 271 maybe. And then we would be getting it in November and seeing how it run into next April or whatever, and then maybe get the extended warranty. The reason why I'm staying Strongco, I do not have a preference one over the other. I've dealt with Strongco as an employee with the Township of Schreiber, and I'm sure Brandt Equipment is the same, but Strongco is a good company, and they've always come down. They've always come to bat for us, and so with that, and I would recommend not getting the warranty, the extended warranty at this point in time. That would be where I would go with it.
We're not, at some point in time, you have to make that decision, but not right away.
Well, with what, Doug? What are you saying?
If it's extended warranty.
Oh yeah, at some point in time, for sure.
Before the 6 months is up, correct?
Yep.
So if you got that in your back pocket, then.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, my only concern is, you know, are we gonna get a huge bill for between April and November that's gonna offset any gain?
Yeah, no, I hear you.
That's my concern.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that for sure.
And from what I'm hearing is that there is that possibility. And the cost would be substantial. Like $15,000 is, for a pump, is a lot of money. So I would think that sooner rather than later is the way to go. So, and you're also going to get a 3-year warranty included. It's not going to cost you any extra money. So
Well, this quote is with the 3 years, the Strongco one.
Well, I'm saying
yeah,
The
but
283.
we're paying that.
But the thought is not to accept that 3-year warranty.
Just for clarification, I think you're saying to defer the 3-year warranty.
Yeah, to defer
You're
the-
saying
Yeah.
to
To
and
say.
I don't know if it's guaranteed if we can get that same $13,000 for that 3-year warranty if it is deferred.
Yeah.
Would that be an option to talk to them about, if we can get it for the same prices?
That has already been discussed, and he predicts that the way things have been going, that it will definitely probably be more. You will get a standard 1-year warranty with the Strongco on the Volvo. It's the extended warranty to 3 years that will cost $13,500.
Which is what this quote is for.
Yeah, that
The
includes.
283,950 is with 3 years. So I
That
don't
wasn't
think-
originally quoted though. They only go with the 1 year.
Yeah.
That's not what it was originally quoted though, Dave.
Okay, but I'm just looking at this right now, and this, I'm in favor of this, what I'm staring at. 283,950 with the 3-year warranty on the Strongco one. I don't think it makes sense to defer it if it's gonna potentially cost us more.
And so the other option is the John Deere for relatively, the price would be $1,500 less or more, and with getting it 7 months sooner. With a 3 or 5,000 hour warranty. which is a little different. Not that it'll make a difference, because the estimated time is 800 hours a year. So in 3 years, you're not gonna, you're gonna be over 2,000, 2,500 hours, so. So that's my only concern is the risk in we, if we're worried about the machine failing. So, again, for not a lot more money, we're gonna get it 7 months sooner. That's what I'm looking at, so.
No, I hear you.
So that would be my vote.
Yeah, mine too.
I vote for the strong quote.
Me too.
And so to clarify, you're voting for the brand, and you're voting for the brand, or you're voting based on
The John Deere, yeah.
John Deere?
Yeah.
Okay. To clarify, Doug, you're voting for Strongco or brand?
The Volvo.
Volvo, okay. And just to clarify on warranty, so I think there is a majority that wants to go with the Strongco. So the next question is warranty. You voted to go ahead with warranty immediately on the
On the John Deere.
On the John Deere?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's no option to defer it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's included in the price.
There's I was just, I mean, when it comes to the Strongco versus Brandt, right, there's a clear majority for the Strongco.
Right.
So I think the next part of it would be debating on whether you want the warranty in effect immediately or deferred. You said your preference was to have it immediately.
On the,
But yeah, on the Brandt, but a bit confusing there, but
yeah, well, there's no option there. It's either
Yep.
you want that machine or with the warranty, or you don't want it.
Okay. And why don't we just go around and just clarify each person's preferences for what they want to go with, the either Strongco or Brandt, and whether you want it with the warranty deferred or right away. So, Dan, you're saying you want the Brandt
Yeah.
with the warranty
Yeah, I
in
would
effect
go
right
for
away.
the Brandt.
Dave?
Strongco with the 3-year warranty.
Same Strongco 3-year warranty.
I'll do the same. Strongco, 3-year.
You got a quorum.
Okay. Okay, number 4, the 2022 budget survey results.
So we've been putting out this budget survey at least since 2019. It's the same questions, so we can track people's satisfaction on various services we provide over the years. We've collected enough data that eventually we should be able to provide some line charts too in terms of the analysis. And certainly, it's the information, if accepted, we'll post it onto our website for the public to follow along as well.
There was some interesting things on there. I thought I highlighted them. It's all gone.
It was an interesting year. We had a lot less participation.
Yeah, it's great that people, I mean, whoever's participating, they're taking the time to think through the questions, and the feedback is pretty good.
Yeah.
It's nice to know that we're doing some things right,
Yeah,
and that there's, you know, and good suggestions on how we can improve. Well, it's good to see.
and, yeah, I found what I did here, where it's saying, with the sidewalks, you need ramps and greater accessibility accommodations and stuff like that. Like, I mean, that would go with our, with our Nords.
Funding, yeah.
Like when we go to do the sidewalks, I mean, we're gonna take that into obviously, we're gonna take that into consideration in 4 years, 5 years, whenever it be, when we finish stacking that. And go about the sidewalks and what else? The greater enforcement to, with the dog owners, with the dog stuff around town. That was a big one. Yeah, so there's a few things that we can take out of this and get a good look at it. For sure.
And some of the stuff we're working on in the background, we are working on, so more to come on that.
Okay, we'll move right on to number 5 then, Senior Program Coordinators Report.
Yeah, I'll report on the senior program. So, we did, I mean, every year we get we have a grant to run the program, and we apply for a special grant. This year we were successful for getting an additional $20,000, which is much more than we received last year, and the thinking is probably because of our membership. We're currently up to 332 members, with 45 new members this year, and with 33 that haven't renewed. So last year we had 320 members. And this year we're already topping that number, and the expectation is it'll even go higher in 2022, so that's huge. A lot of our programs are opening up remotely. That's going to get started. Swedish weaving, sewing 101, that has to be, there's more work to be done on that. We started a new program with snowshoeing. That started last weekend, and we had people attending and learning how to snowshoe for the first time, some of them, so that's excellent. Our virtual program, we have right now virtual yoga, chair yoga. The attendance, there's about 10 attendees right now. We're hoping to get more in the future. Also, we want to expand the virtual program to cooking, painting, cake decorating. So that's always improving. Right now our pool room is out of service, or it's not out of service, but the pool table has to be recalibrated. And floor curling is successful, and getting 10 to 15 people out per week. Pickleball, it's been slow because of the COVID restrictions, but I mean, that'll pick up. I'm sure lots of people are away in the winter time too. So that's about it for that.
Number 6, committee meeting minutes.
So I think I covered it all.
Okay. Recreation and Festivals Committee.
So again, we've been busy working on Heritage Days. We were trying to figure out, getting the best bang for your buck for advertising, whether to use, how much we want to use CFNO, how many people listen to CFNO these days, like, how often is it, have them on site, we've done that in the past, have them right here on site during Heritage Days, is it worth it? It's expensive. The breakout concert that we had planned with bringing in bands from outside the community, the artists were not able to come to Schreiber, so we're attacking that from a different angle and trying to get local entertainers, local bands. We're reaching out right now to see who's available, who would like to come in. There's also a comedy act that we're looking at. So we have a pretty full schedule, a couple of reunions coming to town. We're also planning, the Discovery Center will be open, so that's something we have to figure out when the grand opening is going to be. And that's something we're working on. And a couple other things going on, bike rodeo. We reached out to the OPP and waiting for a response on that. And Science North Ontario Roadshow, they will come to town at some point, and we're not sure when. So that's it for that as well.
I see down here about 3/4 of the way down or whatever, you got the committee will contact Holy Angel School to find out if they'll allow during Heritage Days.
Like allow for
A tour?
a tour?
Why would you not do the public school too?
Yeah.
I think I know what, I think I know what drew you into there was the yearbook photos or whatever, but people would probably like to go into the public school too.
Yeah.
That's just a comment and a question at the same time, I guess.
I can bring that up and we'll touch base on that and where we're going with that. But yeah, bring it up.
Yeah, for sure, okay. Okay, number 8, Fire Department Activity Report for January, February. Jan is here, so.
Looked like it was pretty busy, Jan?
It was a busy 2 months. That was above last year's January, February.
Well, that accident on Walker's Lake was what, 4 cars, 5 cars?
There's 4 separate accidents. I believe this, yeah, there was 8 people hurt.
Mhm.
2 of them were locals, 6 of them were from out of town. And yeah, that was an interesting event.
Yeah, I was there.
We're thinking of asking the MTO to relook at snow fencing up on that corner. They had installed it 1 year, and
It helped.
and then it did a little bit. Didn't completely solve the problem that year.
What did they have there? Like
They had snow fencing up there
Okay,
1
yeah.
year.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it may have reduced what had happened that day.
I know we've cleaned that corner a couple times already this year.
Yeah.
We were there last week and pushed all the snow away.
It's always bad for drifting there.
Yeah, even people
Terrible spot.
that know it's bad, they're leaving town, it's bad there, and you hit that corner, it's a complete whiteout, and then you just
Yeah.
lose track of where you are.
Yeah.
What happened on Sealam Hill? At the Sealam Lookout, a 1-car vehicle accident. 2 young ladies.
Oh, yes. That was a car that lost control going
Just
down the
lost
hill.
control coming down the hill?
Hit the guardrails, bounced off, and then
Yeah.
continued on. It
On
was
this side, heading west?
Heading west, yeah, they
Yeah.
were en route to a
Another
new
bad
job
spot.
in Alberta.
I know because the eastbound lane, the guy was heading west and he spun out, and they never coming back, going home. And it was snowing and blowing, and we seen this truck come straight across there and spun around, knocked out about 20 guardrail posts and.
So, that was something I wanted to highlight because a couple of our guys went out of their way. You know, it was two young girls,
Yeah.
teenage girls from Quebec who were on their way out west to work, and we went out there the next day and repaired their car for them. You know,
Oh, that's
back on the
awesome.
road, just so they weren't stranded here, so.
Yeah, that's great.
And you've been working on that mandatory training. Everybody, Jan's been on top of that, and
There will be more to come in the next monthly report, I believe, on that.
yeah.
Yeah, and you weren't here last meeting, but we did talk about your win there for Pace Plat.
Good work, Jen.
Getting,
good
getting
work.
that,
Awesome.
that huge success there, and all the time you put in getting that.
Yeah, we expect that truck to arrive here in May, early May.
Yeah,
We'll be going down to pick it up, and that'll, you know, they've had a bunch of used trucks previously, but they've
Yeah.
never had anything like this, and this is gonna be a giant asset.
yeah, that's huge.
Good.
Good stuff.
Good job.
So is there interest in training out there too?
We're hoping that the truck's arrival will generate some
With
more
some
interest
incentive, yeah.
in getting some more people to volunteer.
Okay. That'd be good.
Okay, thanks, John. Okay, with that, we'll move on to question period.
No questions.
No questions. Okay, we'll move right into communications.
Number 5.
Yeah, in terms of our policy statement, F 2021-2, council will award $500 to 2 Schreiber residents who will be attending post-secondary education who have been involved in leadership, civil service, or volunteer work. So,
I'm still in favor of that, yeah.
So we're in favor of the two
Yeah,
500s.
I mean, probably won't be much recent volunteer work, but.
What's that?
I said there probably won't be much recent volunteer work because of COVID, but we'll be looking at the past and stuff.
Okay, so we can go back to them. We still want to give out the 2 $500 bursaries then. Okay. Number 1, it's just a normal letter.
Number 6 had an attachment there, the Housing Affordability Task Force. Anybody have a chance to read that?
Did not.
Anyway, there's one guy on that task force that he presented at Roma, and we discussed contacting his group down the road at some point. So that's John Marchand there. He's on the task force. So
Okay.
maybe someone that will be contacted at some point looking for. I think a lot of this dealt with regulations and barriers, the counter regulations. I think in our community, we're ready.
Exactly.
We have lots.
yeah, and we
Yeah.
don't have a lot of those regulations
No,
that they're
so-
talking about there.
Yeah.
What I think is kind of concerning though is just the emphasis on municipal regulations being part of this red tape for housing, and I think that seems to be their focus because it's
Yeah.
you know, it's kind of low hanging fruit, and they can easily
Yeah.
put a policy in to amend how municipalities currently do their development practices. So I think that's why there's so much of an emphasis there, but I think a lot of municipalities will be quite worried about that because, you know, they said, you know, getting rid of like character and the looks and all of that
Yeah.
for that housing, and it's, for some municipalities,
It's
based
concerning,
on what they're trying to achieve in terms of planning,
yeah,
that may be significant. Heritage,
yeah,
buildings, for instance, have all kinds of rules, and it's important, so I think
Yeah.
you'll see a lot more correspondence come out if, you know, the province goes in that direction.
but when
Kind of
I,
limiting the freedom of municipalities in terms of regulating development.
yeah, but when I read that, I'm thinking we don't have a lot of those problems, so.
We have a relatively straightforward system. We
Yeah.
don't even have development charges, and our site planning requirements are definitely not as rigorous as Southern Ontario municipalities, so.
Yeah.
Straightforward zoning too. We have very limited zones compared to
Yeah.
bigger ones.
Number 9, I thought maybe we could provide support for additional funding for Ukraine, help Ukraine.
Yeah, I can support that resolution for sure. Hearing nothing else on communications, unfinished business, there none. And other business, the Thunder Bay District Municipal League Annual General Meeting.
It's gonna be taking place at noon on Saturday via Zoom over here. So, is anyone interested in attending?
Are you-
I'll have to send it out.
You're going to that, eh, Doug?
I could, yeah.
Yeah, Clyde.
You're going to it,
Well, no, you're not going to it. I mean, it was on and then it was off
yeah, but it's on.
and everything, but it's Zoom now, so like Doug would go to it. I guess anybody can go to it because it's their annual general meeting, but
Yeah.
my thought on it was Doug would be going to it, and if anybody wanted to go to it with them, but
Yep.
is there anybody out there that would be interested in positions? That was my train of thought on it.
If it's just Doug going, then I think Doug can join via his
Right.
laptop, right? That's what
I
you've
don't
been
think he
joining in
has one.
before? You've been joining via Zoom all this time, right, for their meetings, or?
No.
No, okay. Then I can set you up.
Here?
I'll talk to you and we can figure it
Yeah,
out.
sure. Yeah.
Whether it's on your own device or whatever, I'll definitely get you set up.
Okay.
In case there was more interest here, what I was gonna do is then, you know, put it on the projector here. But I'll make sure you're connected, Doug.
Okay. Accessory uses in buildings in R1 zone, the bylaw.
So this was you requested if I could add this to the agenda. This was a discussion on amending the R1 zone, particularly section 7.1D. Just in terms of, just a briefing on it, that vacant lots in a residential zone allow for a accessory building. Could be a garage, could be a shed. That can be built prior to the primary use. That primary use is gonna be a house. So, what you suggested to put forward is essentially looking at that section 7.1D that allows for a accessory building on a vacant lot, and to determine, I guess, if you wanna make any changes to that.
My suggestion was, without getting into a new subdivision or anything like that, we've got limited numbers of service lots. And the bylaw says if you put a garage and have room for a house in the back, or the garage in the back and a house in the front, you can do it. Well, lo and behold, everybody's putting a garage and not worrying about a house. Well, not everybody, I shouldn't say everybody. So you're taking up our service lots with garages. And if something happens,
Like,
we'd like to be able to have the service lots there for a dwelling, that's all.
in those few situations you're talking about, does it happen to be that whoever is doing, like you said, putting a garage, do they live adjacent to that property?
At the moment with this bylaw, they don't necessarily have to live adjacent.
No, I understand that, but I'm wondering, is that what's going on?
Some of them.
Some of these.
Some of them, I off the top of my head, I can think somebody that lives 3 or 4 houses down from.
Yeah.
We don't have to make a decision tonight, but it's.
Yeah, I'd say if there's interest into looking into this, what I would really recommend is to have the planner draft a report, just because anything pertaining to planning, again, it has a bit of a chain reaction. To put it into perspective also, the RW, residential Walker Lake zone, for instance, doesn't allow garages to be built. You have to build a cabin or a dwelling. Same with the SR zone, that you have to build a cabin or a dwelling. It's just particularly the R1 zone that allows, again, garages or sheds to be built.
So is there any restriction on the size of a garage or a shed?
Yeah, it has to be 20%. I believe it's 20% of the lot size can be attributed to a garage.
Is that the
shed.
maximum, or?
I believe so.
So what's the minimum? So is there a minimum or just a maximum?
Probably not.
No, it says over here, shall not exceed 20% of lot coverage.
Yeah.
That was a amendment that was made in 2019. There's not really any sort of minimum. The only minimum is you're allowed only one accessory building, so you have
I
to
think if it's
pick one.
Once it gets a certain size, then it's accessible by impact, right?
I think it's 200, no, it's over 200, 220 square feet,
Yeah,
something like
something
that,
like
yeah.
that. I don't know what it is, but.
They will tell you.
They know, they're right.
Yeah. 16 by 16.
I mean, it's not that we have a lot. I don't think we got anybody applying right now or anything, but it's just something that
I think it's worth looking at.
we should look at it. I mean,
Yeah.
Okay, we'll need to, if there's no more discussion, I'll need to know a vote in terms of how you'd like to proceed, either to have the planner, I'd suggest really the next step is to have the planner, if you are willing to proceed, provide a report on whether it's a good idea or not, right? So.
Yeah. I think I would go there.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Me too.
Okay.
Okay, that is the end of the open meeting. Resolution 72-22, moved by Councillor Morrow, seconded by Councillor Staffieri, that the closed meeting resume at this time. All those in favor?